celebration turns to dread. The grand victory celebration filled the observation deck of the Alliance flagship Stellaris with a kaleidoscope of alien forms. Beings from across 17 star systems danced and sang, their disparate bodies moving in joyous unity. Captain Nadia Morgan stood apart from the festivities, watching through human eyes as the victorious Galactic Alliance fleet performed intricate maneuvers against the backdrop of the nebula. The purple-tinged gas clouds made a fitting stage for this triumphant moment. The Void Collective had finally been defeated after 8 bloody years of war. Not celebrating with the others, Captain Morgan? The voice belonged to High Commander Zeralak, his translucent blue skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns of satisfaction. The Illurian's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he approached, a crystalline goblet clutched in one of his 3-fingered hands. "Just taking it all in, sir," Nadia replied, straightening her posture. Alliance protocol demanded respect, especially for an Illurian high commander. "It's not every day we win a war." Zeralak made a trilling sound that passed for laughter among his kind. "Indeed, and your Earth vessels performed adequately." He sipped from his goblet, the liquid inside glowing faintly. "For such primitive designs, they held together remarkably well." Nadia forced a smile, swallowing the retort that rose in her throat. This was typical praise wrapped in condescension. Earth had joined the Alliance late, a developing species granted membership only when the Void Collective threat became too great for the established powers to handle alone. The human fleet had suffered the highest casualty rate of any Alliance member, yet their sacrifice was always described as adequate at best. "We're just glad to have contributed," she said diplomatically, turning her gaze back to the viewport. The Alliance fleet stretched across the void like a glittering tapestry, over 300 ships of various designs and origins. The sleek, crystalline vessels of the Illurians formed the core, surrounded by the organic-looking ships of the Thraxi Communion and the geometric precision of the Voss technocracy's battlecruisers. Earth's remaining ships, boxy, utilitarian vessels with none of the aesthetic refinement of their allies, maintained their assigned position at the fleet's outer perimeter. Lieutenant Javier Rodriguez approached, his Alliance uniform crisp despite the festivities. "Captain, you might want to see this," he said quietly, offering her a data pad. Nadia scanned the information, her brow furrowing. "Are these readings verified?" "Triple-checked, ma'am. Something big is moving through the Krellin Pass. Multiple signatures, fast approach vector." "The Collective?" Nadia asked, though she knew better. The Void Collective's forces had been decisively broken at the Battle of Proxima Centauri. Their hive mind shattered, their drones scattered across the sector. Rodriguez shook his head. "No, ma'am, the energy signatures are—" He hesitated, lowering his voice further. "They're Earth-based." Nadia's stomach dropped. "That's impossible. We've committed every combat-capable vessel to the Alliance fleet." "Not every vessel, apparently." Nadia straightened her uniform and headed toward the command center, Rodriguez following close behind. The celebration continued around them, oblivious to the concerning data. As they reached the security doors, Admiral Throntax, the Voss commander of the Stellaris, intercepted them. "Captain Morgan," the insectoid alien chittered, mandibles clicking with irritation. "Your absence from the celebration has been noted. It appears impolite." "Admiral, with respect, we have unknown contacts approaching through the Krellin Pass. I need to access the command center." The Admiral's compound eyes glinted. "The Krellin Pass is secured by automated defense systems. Nothing approaches without our knowledge." "Something is approaching," Nadia insisted. "Multiple vessels, large signatures." Before the Admiral could respond, the emergency klaxon blared throughout the ship. The celebration halted abruptly as confused voices rose in alarm. Admiral Throntax pushed past Nadia, mandibles clicking rapidly as he accessed the nearest terminal. "Impossible," he hissed. "The sensors must be malfunctioning." But Nadia could already see it on the display. A massive fleet emerging from the Krellin Pass, hundreds of ships arranged in perfect battle formation. They were Earth vessels, but unlike any Nadia had ever seen. Where Alliance-affiliated Earthships were boxy and utilitarian, these were sleek predators, their hulls gleaming with a strange metallic sheen that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. "Those are not registered Earth vessels," Admiral Throntax declared. "They cannot be." "I assure you, Admiral, they are human in design," Nadia replied, studying the formations. "But they're not defense force vessels, something else entirely." The observation deck erupted in chaos as the approaching fleet became visible to the naked eye, a vast shadow eclipsing the stars, its leading edge composed of massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed even the Stellaris. High Commander Zeralak appeared at the Admiral's side, his bioluminescence now pulsing with alarm patterns. "Hail them immediately. This is an unauthorized incursion into Alliance space." Communications officers from various species scrambled to comply, sending hails across all frequencies. The Earth fleet maintained its approach, silent and implacable. "No response on any channel," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. "They're receiving but not acknowledging." "This is outrageous." Zeralak's skin flashed with anger patterns. "Captain Morgan, explain your species' behavior immediately." "I have no explanation, Commander," Nadia replied, keeping her voice steady despite the growing knot in her stomach. "I'm as surprised as you are." "Defensive positions," Admiral Throntax ordered, his voice rising above the growing panic. "All ships form up. This is not a drill." The Alliance fleet responded sluggishly, hampered by celebration shutdown procedures and officers who had indulged too freely in intoxicants. By contrast, the Earth fleet moved with machine precision, its formations shifting as it approached. "They're taking offensive positions," Nadia observed, her military training overcoming her shock. "Admiral, we need to prepare for." The first shot came without warning. A beam of concentrated energy unlike anything in the Alliance arsenal lanced out from the lead Earth dreadnought, slicing through an Elurian cruiser as though its shields didn't exist. The cruiser split in two, its crystalline structure shattering in silent devastation. "Return fire," Throntax commanded, but the Alliance vessels were still scrambling, their weapon systems powering up too slowly. Earth's fleet struck again and again, each shot precisely targeted, each hit devastating. Alliance ships exploded in brilliant flashes, their crews having no time to evacuate. The celebration that had filled the Stellaris minutes before gave way to pure terror. "Get us out of here," Zeralak shouted, his composure shattered. "Emergency jump." "Jump drives are still calibrating after the celebration display," a technician responded, panic evident in their voice. 3 minutes to jump readiness." 3 minutes they didn't have. Earth's fleet moved methodically, cutting through the disorganized Alliance forces like a scythe through wheat. No mercy, no hesitation, just the cold calculation of a predator culling prey. "Captain Morgan," Admiral Throntax turned to her, mandibles quivering with barely suppressed rage. "Contact your people, make them stop this madness." Nadia swallowed hard, nodding as she moved to a communications station. She broadcast on Earth military frequencies, using her command codes. "This is Captain Nadia Morgan of the Alliance vessel Stellaris to Earth Fleet. Identify yourselves and cease fire immediately. I repeat, cease fire." For a long moment there was only static. Then a voice responded, deep, authoritative, and unsettlingly calm. "Captain Morgan, the prodigal daughter of Earth, we wondered if you would be there." Nadia's blood ran cold. She recognized that voice. Admiral Wright. No longer just an admiral, Captain. Supreme Commander of Earth's Armada now. Desmond Wright had been Earth's liaison to the Alliance during the early days of the war, before being recalled to Earth for reassignment 3 years ago. Official channels had reported his retirement. "What are you doing?" Nadia demanded, aware that every alien eye on the bridge was fixed on her. "These are our allies." "Allies?" Wright's laugh was cold. "Is that what they told you? While you were out fighting their war, bleeding for their cause, did they mention how they stripped Earth's resources? How they demanded 90% of our industrial output while offering outdated technology in return?" "That's not," Nadia began, but Wright cut her off. "Did they tell you about the defense pact they signed with the Void Collective 3 decades ago? The one that prevented us from developing our own fleet until they graciously invited us to die for them. The bridge had gone silent, every alien face turned toward Nadia. She felt the weight of their stares, the unspoken question, is this true? The war is over, Nadia said, ignoring the accusations. The collective is defeated. Whatever grievances Earth has can be addressed through diplomatic channels. Diplomacy failed us for 50 years, Captain. Now we speak the only language the Alliance truly respects, power. Another Earth salvo tore through the Alliance fleet. The Stellaris shuddered as a nearby cruiser exploded, debris peppering its shields. 1 minute to jump readiness, the technician called out. You need to stop this, Nadia pleaded. You're killing thousands of innocent beings. And how many humans died because the Alliance withheld medical technology during the Proxima campaign? Wright countered. How many Earth ships were positioned at the front lines while Alliance vessels held back? Nadia had no answer. She'd seen the casualty reports, had wondered about the Alliance's battle strategies that consistently put human ships in the most dangerous positions. But genocide was not the answer. This isn't who we are, she said finally. This is exactly who we are, Captain. Survivors, adapters. We take what we learn and we improve upon it. The Alliance taught us well about betrayal, about exploitation, about seeing other species as expendable resources. Wright's voice hardened. You have a choice to make, Captain Morgan, Earth or the Alliance. There is no middle ground anymore. The communication cut off abruptly. Nadia looked up to find every alien on the bridge staring at her, with expressions ranging from suspicion to outright hostility. You knew, Admiral Throntax accused, his mandibles clicking furiously. You humans planned this all along. I knew nothing about this, Nadia insisted, and I don't believe Earth would. Her words were cut short as another blast rocked the Stellaris. Warning lights flashed across control panels. Jump drive compromised, the technician shouted. Direct hit. Through the viewport, Nadia watched in horror as Earth's dreadnoughts methodically surrounded the Alliance flagship. Their weapons trained on vital systems, but not firing. Not yet. They're hailing us again, Rodriguez reported, his face pale. Admiral Throntax's compound eyes swiveled toward Nadia. If they want to negotiate, you will represent the Alliance. Make them see reason. Nadia nodded grimly as the communication channel opened once more. Admiral Wright's face appeared on the main screen, his steel-gray eyes cold and calculating. Captain Morgan, the Stellaris is surrounded. You have exactly 1 standard minute to evacuate all Earth personnel before we open fire. There are over 10,000 beings aboard this vessel, Nadia replied, fighting to keep her voice steady. Most have nothing to do with whatever grievances Earth has against the Alliance leadership. 55 seconds, Captain. High Commander Zeralak stepped forward, his bioluminescence pulsing with alarm patterns. Earth has no authority to make demands. We are the Galactic Alliance, 17 systems united. 17 systems that exploited Earth's resources and sacrificed human lives, Wright interrupted. 40 seconds. Nadia's mind raced. Earth wouldn't be this bold without a plan, without technology to back their aggression. The energy weapons they'd deployed were unlike anything in the Alliance arsenal, more advanced, more destructive. Somehow, Earth had made a technological leap that no one had anticipated. What do you want? She asked finally. Really want beyond vengeance? Something flickered in Wright's eyes, approval perhaps. Recognition, respect. A renegotiation of all treaties on equal terms, no more second-class status, no more exploitation. And the deaths of everyone aboard this ship will achieve that. Their deaths are not necessary, only their surrender. Wright's expression hardened. 20 seconds, Captain, make your choice. Nadia looked around the bridge, at the alien faces that had been her colleagues for years, at Lieutenant Rodriguez who watched her with quiet desperation. Then she turned back to the screen. I need more time. This isn't a decision that can be made in seconds. Time is a luxury the Alliance never afforded us, Wright replied. 10 seconds. Admiral Throntax stepped forward, his mandibles twitching with suppressed rage. We will not surrender to barbarians. The Alliance has stood for 10,000 years. 5 seconds, Wright counted dispassionately. Nadia made her decision. She moved faster than anyone expected, drawing her sidearm and pointing it directly at Admiral Throntax's head. "Order the surrender," she said quietly. "Now." The bridge went absolutely silent. The Admiral's compound eyes fixed on her, mandibles frozen in mid-click. "Traitor," he hissed. "Pragmatist," she corrected. "I've seen what those weapons can do. We're outmatched. Order the surrender and save the lives aboard this ship." For a long, tense moment, she thought he would refuse. Then the Admiral's posture sagged. "Stellaris surrenders," he chittered. "Stand down all weapons." On the screen, Admiral Wright smiled, not a smile of triumph, but of grim satisfaction. "A wise decision. Prepare for boarding parties. Earth will now assume control of the Galactic Alliance flagship." As the communication ended, Nadia lowered her weapon, suddenly aware of the enormity of what had just happened, what she had just done. "You've doomed us all," Zeralak whispered. His bioluminescence dimmed to nearly nothing. "I've saved the lives on this ship," Nadia replied, holstering her weapon. "The Alliance was doomed the moment it decided Earth was expendable." Outside, Earth's Armada surrounded the crippled Alliance fleet, their overwhelming firepower making resistance futile. The celebration of victory had turned to ash, and in its place, a new order was being born, one in which humanity would no longer be silent partners, but masters of their own destiny. As the first Earth shuttle docked with the Stellaris, Nadia Morgan stood at the airlock, her Alliance uniform suddenly feeling like a costume she had worn for too long. Whatever came next, the galaxy would never be the same, and neither would she. "That's not just reverse-engineered tech," Nadia said quietly. "That's something else entirely." "Perceptive," Reeves noted without elaboration. The shuttle docked within the Harbinger's cavernous bay, where dozens of similar craft were being prepared for deployment. Hundreds of personnel moved with purpose through the space, none bearing Alliance insignia. This wasn't a hastily assembled rebellion. This was a fully operational military force that had somehow developed in secret. Admiral Desmond Wright waited at the bay entrance, his tall figure unmistakable even from a distance. As Nadia approached, she noted how he had changed, his once regulation-perfect uniform replaced by a simpler design, his previously clean-shaven face now sporting a close-cropped beard streaked with gray. But it was his eyes that had changed most. Harder, colder, filled with a certainty that bordered on zealotry. "Captain Morgan," he greeted her, his voice carrying the same authoritative tone she remembered. "Welcome to the future of humanity." "Admiral," she replied cautiously, "or is it Supreme Commander now?" A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "Admiral will do between old colleagues. Walk with me." As they moved through the Harbinger's corridors, Nadia noticed the efficiency of the crew, the advanced technology integrated seamlessly into every system. This vessel hadn't been built in haste. It represented years of development, all hidden from Alliance oversight. "How long have you been planning this?" she asked directly. "Planning since the first day the Alliance approached Earth with their generous offer of membership." His tone made the words a mockery. "Active preparation began 5 years ago when we discovered the truth." "What truth?" Wright stopped at a viewport that offered a panoramic view of the Earth fleet surrounding the broken Alliance vessels. "The Alliance encountered the Void Collective 2 centuries ago, Captain, not 50 years ago as they claimed to us. They signed non-aggression pacts, divided up territories, established trade relations, all while keeping humanity isolated and unaware." "That's impossible," Nadia objected. "The Collective is a hive mind bent on assimilation. They don't negotiate. With species they consider threats, no. With species they consider useful, they're quite pragmatic." Wright's reflection in the viewport looked grim. "The Alliance used us, Captain. When the Collective eventually turned on them, breaking their precious treaties, the Alliance needed cannon fodder. They needed Earth." Nadia processed this, remembering the strategic decisions that had always placed human ships at the most vulnerable points in battle formations. You're saying they recruited us specifically to fight their war. To die in their war, Wright corrected, while they carefully controlled what technology we received, ensuring we remained dependent on Alliance support. How did you learn this, and how did you? She gestured around at the advanced vessel. Wright smiled thinly. 3 years ago, one of our deep recon vessels encountered a damaged collective scout ship in the Tau Ceti system. Against Alliance regulations, we salvaged it. What we found in its data banks changed everything. He led her to a secure room dominated by a holographic display. With a gesture, he activated it, revealing technical schematics intermixed with what appeared to be diplomatic records written in the strange, symbolic language of the collective. It took months to decrypt, but what we found was irrefutable. The Alliance had been manipulating humanity from the beginning, limiting our expansion, monitoring our technological development, all while presenting themselves as benevolent saviors. His voice hardened. When I presented this evidence to Earth's government, the decision was unanimous. We would prepare in secret for independence. And these ships, this technology, we learned from our enemies, both the collective and the Alliance. Wright's eyes gleamed with fierce pride. Once we understood the principles, our engineers made improvements, innovations the hidebound Alliance bureaucracy would never have permitted. Nadia studied the display, recognizing elements of both Alliance and collective design, but refined, enhanced. You've been building this fleet for 3 years. The first ships came online 18 months ago. We kept them hidden in the asteroid belts of Sol's system while we expanded production. Wright watched her carefully. The question now, Captain Morgan, is where you stand. Nadia met his gaze. You're asking me to betray my oath to the Alliance. I'm asking you to honor your oath to humanity. He moved to a console and brought up footage. Devastated Earth colonies, human ships being sacrificed in battles while Alliance vessels held back, resource transports leaving Earth heavily laden and returning nearly empty. This is what Alliance has meant for Earth, Wright said quietly. A slow bleeding of our resources, our people, our future, all while they patted us on the head and called us developing partners. Nadia watched the footage, recognizing incidents she had witnessed herself but had rationalized as necessary wartime sacrifices. Seen together, the pattern was unmistakable. What happens now? She asked finally. The Alliance still has thousands of ships, dozens of member worlds. They have obsolete technology and a shattered defensive line. We've neutralized 60% of their combat capability in this single operation. Wright's confidence was absolute. The remaining Alliance forces will fall back to defended worlds, but they've never faced anything like our fleet. Within 3 months, the Alliance as a political entity will cease to exist. And then, a new order, fair trade, sovereign independence for all worlds, including Earth, no more exploitation disguised as protection. He made it sound reasonable, even noble. But Nadia had seen the Alliance ships torn apart, thousands of lives extinguished in moments. Was there no diplomatic solution? She asked. No way to confront them with the evidence, demand reparations. Wright's expression hardened. We tried. I personally presented our findings to the Alliance Council 3 years ago. They labeled it misinterpreted data and human paranoia. Then they recalled me, intending to silence what I'd discovered. So you just disappeared? I returned to Earth and began preparations for this day. He studied her. You've seen enough to understand our position. I need to know, Captain, are you with Earth or against us? Before Nadia could answer, the ship's alarms blared. A communications officer's voice came over the intercom. Admiral, Alliance reinforcements just emerged from hyperspace. Voss Battle Group, 17 vessels approaching at combat speed. Wright moved swiftly to a command console, bringing up tactical displays. Composition. 15 cruisers, 2 dreadnoughts. The Indomitable leads them. Nadia recognized the name. The Indomitable was the personal flagship of Grand Marshal Kivrax, the supreme military commander of the Alliance. They're hailing us, the communications officer reported. Wright nodded, on screen. The holographic display shifted to show the insectoid features of Grand Marshal Kivrax. His chitinous face plates arranged in the formal pattern of extreme displeasure. Admiral Wright, the Marshal's translator rendered his clicks and hisses into flat standard. You commit an act of war against the Galactic Alliance. Stand down your forces immediately or face total annihilation. Wright smiled thinly. Your threats would be more convincing if you'd brought more ships, Marshal. This is merely the vanguard, Kivrax replied. The full might of the Alliance fleet approaches. You have succeeded only in uniting the 17 worlds against you. The 17 worlds are already questioning the Alliance after seeing our technology, Wright countered. Technology you deliberately kept from us while sending our ships to die against the Collective. The Marshal's mandibles clicked rapidly. Lies and paranoia typical of your primitive species. Your rebellion ends today. He leaned closer to the pickup. And Captain Morgan, your treachery will be remembered for generations. Nadia stepped forward, anger suddenly burning through her uncertainty. Is it treachery to question why human casualty rates were 3 times higher than any other species? Why Earth received outdated medical technology while our soldiers died of treatable wounds? Why our resources were stripped while we received the least protection? You are contributing to the greater good, Kivrax responded dismissively. We were being exploited, Nadia shot back, and now we're done. Wright nodded to his tactical officer. Target the Indomitable's propulsion systems. Disable, don't destroy. You would not dare, Kivrax hissed. Firing, the tactical officer reported calmly. The view shifted to show a lance of greenish energy striking the Alliance flagship with surgical precision. The Indomitable's engines flared and died, leaving the massive vessel drifting. Your ships are outmatched, Marshal, Wright stated flatly. Surrender now, and we can begin negotiations for a new relationship between Earth and the former Alliance worlds. Kivrax's compound eyes shifted rapidly, calculating. After a moment he spoke again, his translator unable to hide the rage in his voice. The Alliance has stood for 10,000 years. It will not fall to upstart primates with stolen technology. The transmission cut off abruptly. They're powering weapons, the tactical officer reported. Defensive pattern Omega, Wright ordered. Targeted disabling shots only. I want those ships intact. Nadia watched as the Earth fleet moved with perfect coordination, unleashing precision strikes that systematically disabled the Alliance vessels without destroying them. Within minutes, the reinforcement fleet hung motionless, their weapons and engines offline. Begin boarding operations, Wright commanded. Secure Marshal Kivrax alive. He turned to Nadia, who had watched the one-sided battle with a mixture of awe and horror. You see now why diplomacy was never an option. They still believe us to be inferior, even as we defeat them. Nadia nodded slowly. What comes next? Next, Wright's eyes gleamed with determination. We reshape the galaxy, Captain Morgan. We ensure humanity is never exploited again, and we build something better than the Alliance ever was. He extended his hand to her. With your help, if you're willing. Nadia looked at his offered hand, then back at the disabled Alliance ships on the display. She thought of all she had witnessed during her years of service. The subtle discrimination, the unfair resource allocation, the strategic decisions that consistently placed human lives at greater risk. The old order was falling. A new one would rise in its place. She took Wright's hand. For Earth, for a better future. Outside, against the backdrop of stars, Earth's Armada stood triumphant, no longer the junior partners in a cosmic alliance, but the architects of a new galactic order. The message was clear to every world watching. Humanity would never again be underestimated. They had laughed at Earth's victory celebrations. None were laughing now.